The $1 billion game came about because when I was in a car with my nephews that were like 3 to 9 years old, and we were traveling for like hundreds of miles. And while we were traveling, they were just bored, and they kept, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst trip ever." And I told them, I said, "Well, what would make it better?" And they just said, "Well, why don't we stop for ice cream?" I said, "Well, we're not." I said, "We'll stop for ice cream if you can shift your mind and make this not a boring trip." I said, out of everything to choose in this world, why choose boredom? Why choose that this car ride is the worst thing in the world? And so when you switch it from ice cream to, I invite people for $1 billion.
For $1 billion.
Yeah, for $1 billion, do you think that you can get off what your story is? The $1 billion game is just the invitation to switch people's mind from like, hey, for $1 billion, do you think you can make it happen?
People respond to incentives.
Exactly.
And we are largely conditioned to respond to the incentive of money, right? That's why we all work jobs.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's money is one that we can comprehend pretty well.
Yes.
And I love the framing that you've put this in, which is if it was your job to hold back on lashing out at your sister when she calls,
Exactly.
could you do it for $1 billion?
Oh, all day long.
All day long,
Exactly.
right?
I'll do it for $500 million.
Yeah.
But it also brings in the reminder of the power of your mind.
Right.
Right? Like, it's like, well, wait a minute. I'm not a victim to my circumstances. I've created the value of this circumstance, and I have the power to change it at will.
Yeah.
So it's changing the victimhood mentality back into the truth mentality. That's why the book is titled what it is. You're perfectly whole. You just forgot.
You just forgot.
Right? You have $1 billion. You just forgot.
You just forgot.
You know, and the currency isn't, you know, the greenback dollar. It's actually, the currency is love.
When I was rereading before this conversation, I was sitting on an airplane and I booked the flight a day before I left. And so I got sat all the way in the last row of economy, backed up. I can't even lean my chair back.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting right next to the bathrooms. And I'm sitting there in this narrative of I am uncomfortable right now.
Right.
And then I come across the $1 billion game, and I heard you speaking through the book and in the words to me and saying, for $1 billion, could you be at peace right now?